Hi guys, we are back here for part 2 of this big cheese board that we've been working on together. You can see I've got my resin mixed. Here I've got the same two colors I was using yesterday. This is the Counterculture DIY white mica that I'm going to do first. And guys, we are going to put a lot less mica in this time. Okay. Now mica is typically a semi-opaque color, which means it's not really transparent, it's not really opaque, it's kind of in the middle, depending on how much you put in your resin. If you put a lot in like we did yesterday, you get this more opaque. If you put in less like we are doing today, it will be more transparent, so you have some control there with your micas. Let me show you that. See there? Still very pretty, still very shimmery and iridescent, but much less opaque. And we don't need a lot of resin today. Now the other color that we used yesterday is this Langridge White. What I didn't mention yesterday was you cannot put these artist pigments directly into resin. They will not mix. These take some practice. They take some pre-planning. That's why I have it mixed here with my epoxy pre-mixed, is because you can't just take that powder and put it in your resin like you do micas or inks. It just will not mix. You just end up with a mess. So we're going to stir this up. And this is still going to be fairly opaque because, like we talked about in the first video, these artist pigments are very, very dense. Okay. Now, if you wanted to go with something that was not opaque like this, you could use like a white acrylic ink or even a white acrylic paint for this second layer. But you can see that's still really opaque. And that, guys, is just the nature of the product. Okay, so we're ready. Now, I've also mixed up some of this really luscious gold. And this is actually the Aga Art Studios gold that I have here. And for this particular piece, that's the gold that I want to use. It is also an opaque color, and this creates a lot of cells, which is why I'm using this particular gold. So let's get started. I've got clear resin here, and I'm actually going to start with my clear resin. Okay. Now the idea here is to create depth in our piece. So we don't want to cover this up completely because then it won't have the depth. You won't see what's underneath the layer that we're adding. And this is why we use the clear, so that part of what is already on our project, in this case a cheese board, part of that actually will show through. So I'm going to be adding clear first. Okay, guys, so as I'm doing this, I'm looking at which parts that I really like and which parts I think need dressed up. Like this white here isn't really doing much for me, and here, so I want to kind of dress those up. This up here, I really am liking how it looks already, so maybe I won't do as much up there. And that's how I'm going to decide where I add the clear. Okay? I'm going to look at my piece. I'm going to try to think about what's working for me, what's maybe not working for me. What do I feel like needs some extra attention? And that's kind of how I'm doing this. And by putting this clear on, that will allow the other colors to float. And by float, I mean it will literally keep them above this. So I will be adding some other colors to those areas, but because that clear is there, they won't overtake those areas. Okay? And obviously this is going to get blown around a lot, so you have to be, you have to keep in mind that that's going to happen. And you never have complete control over your resin. Let's heat this up, get rid of some bubbles. Okay. And now I'm going to go in, I think first, with some of this opaque white. And again, I'm kind of following the lines that I set up for myself yesterday in the movement of this resin. And I kind of want to go along that same path with my resin today in this next layer. Now I'm going to add some of this mica. It's got that pearlescent or iridescent quality to it. And you can see I'm putting it right on top of that clear so that it floats over the top of what's already there. I'm going to come back in here with some of this opaque white that will make some cells for us. And I want to put some of this mica white down here towards the front edge as well, I think. Okay, let's take a torch to that. Whoop, I've got some areas that do not have any resin on them. Got to kind of look from the side so you can see where you've got it and where you don't. I think we're going to add some mica white through here. Just like so. And wet resin follows wet resin. So any place there's resin, or any place that's been touched by resin, that's where your resin is going to go. And guys, you'll hear resin companies brag about being self-leveling. It's really not a thing, you guys. It's a liquid. All liquids are self-leveling. Milk is self-leveling. You've never seen a mud puddle that's not level, right? Okay. All resin self-levels. Okay, let's heat that up. Get the bubbles out. Get our resin good and warm. And then I think I'm going to use the heat gun. And we're going to blow this around. I kind of want to keep this mica down here along this front edge, so I'm not going to move it too awfully much. Okay. And then this white, opaque, I kind of want to move that over so that we get some of that cell, some of those cells going on here on this second layer. So I'm going to blow that back. We need some more liquid up here on this handle. There we go. I think I want some more white in here. I want to create some cells over top of this mica that we put down yesterday. And this way I get a lot of interest in my piece without using a lot of different colors. You don't have to use colors necessarily to make your pieces more interesting. You can do that through your techniques. Now let's take a torch and give that another little shot. And again, you want to be careful not to scorch your resin. Scorched resin is never a good thing, y'all. It's just not. It looks like hell, and it's just not attractive. Just don't go to scorched resin. Okay, now that I've got this, and I really like the way this looks, I like how you can see down through it. Now it's time to add some bling. So this gold, I'm going to follow right next to, I think, my glitter lines. I think that's how I want to at least start to put this on. I may add more, I may not, but that's where we're going to start with this. I think that's a good starting point for us. And I'm not putting it necessarily right up next to the glitter. Up here I did. Down here, part of it, I've left some space. Okay? Just kind of look at your piece, guys, and decide where you want that gold. And again, we're going to blow this around pretty drastically, so it doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to be different when we're done than what it looks like now. Okay. And right in here, I want to add some clear next to that. Right along that edge. Okay. Now the first thing I'm going to do, guys, I want to get the bubbles out and I want to get this resin hot. So we're going to torch it. We're going to get that mica activated with this torch. We're going to get that resin good and hot. And then we're going to go back in with our heat gun. And we're going to spread that out. And this is where the magic happens. And you see I'm kind of, up here I'm kind of blowing it away from my glitter. So I've got both effects still when I'm done. And if I don't have enough gold, I can always add more, but I will caution you to go easy on your gold when you start. You can always add more. You really can't take it away once you put it on there. So you want to start small and build from there. Okay, see how nicely that works? And now again, I want to get that really high metallic to float to the top. So we're going to torch, we're going to hit it with a torch. Now I'm going to stop and look at it and see what I think, you guys. And honestly, I really like where it's at right now. I'm not happy with this jagged edge. So I'm just going to take a little clear and just smooth that out a little. Just kind of fill in those little gaps. So I've got a more streamlined, even edge on this. Okay. And then I'm just going to torch it. And there we go. That gold will come back down over that clear a little bit. And I like it, guys. I'm happy with where it's at. I'm really happy with where it's at. So on this one, I'm not going to put on the textures until this coat is dry. And typically on my cheese boards, you guys, I don't. Typically on my cheese boards, I won't add crystals or stones or mirror glass or any of that until the very last step when I'm flood coating. Okay? So I'm going to call this end good. I'm going to move the camera down to the other end of the table so you can see the other end, and we'll finish up the second coat on the other end of this cheese board. Give me just a second, please. Okay, guys, thanks for your patience. I got this moved down. And now we're going to work on this end. And I'm going to do it pretty much the same. I am going to start by putting clear down over the parts that I really like and want to kind of keep. And then we're going to put color down. And again, you guys, don't get too wrapped up in it has to be perfect, because it doesn't. I mean, that's just the truth. And if you do that right there, see I got resin on my board. I've got some paper towel. I've got some 91% isopropyl alcohol. I'm just going to spray that on there. And I'm going to wipe it off. And that's it. Gone. That easy. But just don't let yourself get all stressed out over this process. This should be fun. I love doing resin. This is very relaxing to me. And I want it to be relaxing for all of you too. And that's why I chose to keep my Patreon at just $5 a month and to feature a lot of tutorials. My next set of tutorials, guys, is going to be a start to finish geode painting, step by step. And in that set, we are going to get into a lot more theory. In other words, how I choose to combine colors and why I use certain colors together and how I lay out my canvases. So that will be our next set of tutorials. And I've already started filming them. So here you can see I'm putting that opaque down. And again, I'm following the line that of the pattern, kind of the pattern that I set up yesterday. I want to keep these cohesive, and I want nice movement along there. And again, this opaque white edge on the front's kind of dull. I want to kind of liven that up. So that's what I'm going to do with this mica white. And there you see I dripped again. I still got my paper towel. Just wipe it off. And I also want to hear from you guys what you would like to see me do. I think our next project together is going to be really great because I am going to do a lot with the planning, and I am going to go over the tools and the different types of micas and opaques and inks and all those types of things with you. So it will be a lot more in depth than this one. So there we go. I want to get those bubbles out. I want to heat that resin. See guys, that's pretty already. If you got to this point and liked it and wanted to walk away from it, you could do that. There's nothing wrong with this right here. That's gorgeous. However, we're not going to do that. I want to create some cells. You can see there's a few popping up here. I want a lot more. So we're going to blow this opaque white around a little bit. You can see I'm just moving it with my heat gun. This is nothing you can't do. This is nothing that anybody watching this cannot do themselves. Anybody can do this. It's just a matter of learning the techniques and how to make it work for you. That's all. That's all this is. And if you guys would like, we can do one whole class on just cells. I'm gonna torch that white opaque right there. And now I want to add that gold. The gold really dresses this up and turns it from, yeah, that looks nice, it's pretty good, to that OMG factor. That's what the gold does for this piece. It's my wow factor. So yeah, I really want to hear from you guys and hear what you want to see me do. Because I think I mentioned before, I don't remember, I could make tutorials and sell them, just the tutorials, and make a lot more money. But I'm not doing this necessarily for the money. I mean, the extra money is nice because it helps me make more stuff. It helps me make art. It helps me make more tutorials and create content that I can share with you guys. But the big part of this is that I get to share what I'm really passionate about with all of you. So that's the big part of it, at least for me. All right, now we're gonna get this going. Whoop. And notice how that gold mica floats to the top when I torch it. See how that goes? It just pops right up to the top there for us. And I'm not giving it extreme heat here. I'm just touching it with that torch. You don't have to go crazy. Okay, so now that we've got that good and hot, we want to move it. So we got the heat gun back. I think we're going to go this way. And you can just simply, if you hold that more or less straight up and down, you can just spread it out. You can blow it this way, which is what I showed you on the other end of this. Just blow that right over the top. How amazing is that? You can probably see that smoking a little bit there. That's okay. It's not getting overly warm. It's not burning it. Your resin will, I call it, we call it smoke, but it's actually just resin steam is all it is. Okay. And there again, I've got that rough edge that I don't care for. And if that doesn't bother you, leave it. You don't have to change it because I don't like it. Your art should make you happy. There we go. Okay, I'm going to give this one last shot with the torch. See if I can't bring some more of that really vibrant metallic gold up. And there it goes. You can see it pop to the top. Super, super simple, guys. Anybody can do this. Okay, that is going to be it for layer 2. We have one more layer to go on this because we have the flood coat where we're going to add some textures. I think I haven't decided what I'm putting on it yet. I've made some special clusters with my molds. I may use those. I may just use gems and quartz and shattered glass. I don't know yet. We'll have to decide in the next step. I will be filming that tomorrow, and hopefully I will get it posted tomorrow night for you. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Okay, this has been sitting now for a couple of hours since we worked on it, so I wanted to give you some close-ups of this so that you can see how it turned out. That gold is just amazing. We've got a lot of movement going through this. We've got a lot of effects. It's absolutely beautiful. You can see in there, you can see the depth. You can see how you actually look down through the layers to the layer underneath. And let's move down to the end with the handle and get a look at this one as well. Absolutely gorgeous. I am just so happy with how this turned out. And guys, you saw me do this. We did this together. This is nothing that you can't do on your own. You can see there that glitter coming up through and peeking out from under the other whites and the gold. And that's what we were talking about, depth, guys. You can see how gorgeous that gold is. It's got a very metallic finish to it. So there we go. That's it until we come back and do the flood coat. Okay, everybody. I'll see you later.